This is Reddit for On the Radar Table. I'll come with your edition of movie reviews and observations, number 76. Due to holidays, there's only a certain amount of movies I watch. So the first movie I watched was The Marksman. I watched it with my family. And Liam Neeson's got these sort of set of skill, and it doesn't matter if it's European bad guys or it's people in the United States. This movie was about the Mexican cartel not understanding that this older man who's a Vietnam vet has all these skills, and you don't want to mess with him. So basically, he's a widower, and he's just living on his property that's on this border of Mexico and Arizona. So he sometimes, helps out with the border patrol. And supposedly, this Hispanic dude from Mexico, he steals money from the cartel. So he tells his sister and his nephew to leave, and they're trying to escape. And as they're trying to escape, she gets injured. And he's like, whoa, 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 if you try to go out there on your own, you're going to die. Let me help you. And they're like, no, don't call Border Patrol. But of course, as they're talking and doing all the stuff, the cartel catches up to them and starts shooting. And of course, the mother doesn't make it. So the whole point of the movie is, if you read the boxes, he's got to help this 11-year-old kid named Miguel get to Chicago because his supposed stepdaughter who works for the cops goes, you got to give him to children's services, but then they're going to deport him and there's nothing to do. And he's like, that kid's not safe. The whole movie he's trying to get this kid to Chicago, and he has outmaneuver and outrun the cartel because the cartel has their money and their hands in people in the United States. So it's not like it's going to be a straight track to Chicago, and there's a lot of ups and downs to the movie, and it's typical Liam Neeson movie. No matter who it is, they think, oh, this old guy doesn't know what he's doing, blah, 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 but he's called the marksman because he never misses a shot. So it's like, you know what? If you like Liam Neeson like I do, and you like typical action movies, and him trying to save the day, then I would suggest it's not the world's greatest Liam Neeson movie, but it was a pretty good one to add it to his collection. Then I watched a horror film called Party Hard, Die Young, where all these high school kids, it's like a foreign film, like German movie, where they go to this party island where there's like this beautiful beach, and there's parties all night long, and they're trying to have some fun before they go to college. But here's the catch. As they're having fun, people start dying, and the local cops are like, oh, could have been suicide, or this person isn't actually missing, they're not dead. And some of them are like, no, I think there's somebody out there trying to kill people. So, of course, in this thing, is the kid's got to survive from this killer, and it's hard to get off this island. And they try to solve who the murderer is, how to stop him, all this stuff. So it's like an interesting enough horror film that these high school kids are trying to survive. Somebody's trying to kill them, and most times, is it a random killer? Is there something? So it was interesting enough that getting through enough of this movie, you see that there's like a plot twist of who the killer is, and you're like, okay, cool. Even with that plot twist, it didn't change the fact that I think this was an overall okay enough horror film that's like 90-something minutes, interesting enough, and this DVD I watched, I got lucky enough it was dubbed, so it was like, didn't have to watch subtitles, so that was pretty good. Then, I went and watched the movie Monstrum, and pretty much, it takes place in like history times in like Asia, where you got kings and rulers and stuff, more dictatorship type of thingy as well. And basically, there's this creature called Monstrum that is attacking people, supposedly causing a plague, and the king doesn't know what to do, so he asks his trusted retired general to look into it. And he's got his own set of crew people looking into it, including his daughter and his brother, and they're out there trying to stop this creature or stop whoever the person is that's living in a trail of bodies and all this plague stuff. And he's got to deal with not just the monster, but the actual current general and his plans, what he's doing. And the whole point is that he's got to save the day. And so it's like a current day, like superhero type of movie where like there's this one dude and he's got to save the day and defeat a monster. And the monster wasn't bad looking. It wasn't like cheesy, special effects. And overall, it was a pretty good movie with interesting characters. Again, this unfortunately was a foreign film, so it was in subtitle, and the movie was an hour and like 40-something minutes. But hey, there was enough horror, there was enough action, there was enough monster scenes in there. So, and like ninjas and samurai type of thing. So it was pretty good. And just not the greatest movie, but it was overall not bad. Then I watched a movie called Jiu-Jitsu with Nicolas Cage, Tony Jaa, Frank Grillo, and this Elaine Moussi, and there were some other people in the movie as well. The movie starts off where this dude loses some sort of like thing. He's like lost. He doesn't know where he is in Asia, and the military is wondering who this is, how he got here. And this movie is basically every like 5 or 6 years, this creature comes to fight for humanity, and if you beat him, he leaves. If not, he stays and he kills people and stuff like that. And the movie is like, okay, but this group of misfits like Frank Grillo and Nicolas Cage, and you got to save the day. And what you find out is this dude named Jake is the leader of this group, and he lost supposedly, and or he fled. Whatever the point is, that the creature is still out there and he's killing people, and the only way to save the day is he's got to remember who he is, how to fight, and it's all about all them knowing jujitsu. It's a group of jujitsu, and it was interesting to put in the alien aspect and the martial arts aspect and the military aspect and them trying to all save the day and stuff. And this is the first time in a while I watched a Nicolas Cage movie where he is not the main focus of the movie. He's just one of the main characters, and it took like half hour for him to join the movie. So the movie's called Jiu-Jitsu, and they're all fighting with Jiu-Jitsu. They don't need bullets and guns and stuff. They use weapons and stuff. The whole point of the movie is you got to stop this alien creature, or the world's gonna end. And of course, in typical movie fashion, pretty much everybody dies, and only a few people get saved, and they save the day. But I thought it was a pretty good overall movie, and Nicolas Cage's character added a little element to it, and it wasn't that bad. Then I watched the movie The Man Standing Next, The Assassination of a President. Again, foreign film, Korean. So it's basically like how the Korean president is like a dictator again, and even though he has, a CIA, like a Central Intelligence Agency, it's kind of like they do whatever he wants. So there's a guy who doesn't like the way the guy has been running the country, and he feels like he's in trouble because if you piss this guy off, he'll kill you. That he flees to the United States, the press, and is trying to expose all the corruption, all this other stuff. And the current guy in charge of the CIA, he's charged with finding out how this guy got all this information, how did he escape, and he's trying to play it both ways. Like, is he going to help the president out of whatever it is, or is he going to actually realize that the president is corrupt and all this other stuff? And it's basically based on like a true story, so it's really not much saying. Is like the whole point of the movie is there are people in the United States government, there are people in the Korean government that wanted a new ruler, so they're like, it's perfect time, let's try to assassinate him, let's try to start over from scratch. So overall, it was interesting enough. It just, the movie kind of dragged on, and when you are watching a foreign film and it's an hour and 50 something minutes, it does always feel like, but it's interesting enough of a movie that you should stick through it. Then due to time constraints, I was like, do I watch a 2-hour movie Friday, Saturday? Because that's why I'm doing it. I only have 6, is because there's a lot long movies. Is I decided to watch this movie called Chick Fight. And a lot of the critics think it was horrible and stupid. And I'm not a huge fan of Alec Baldwin, except for really when he is Jack Donovan on 30 Rock. Because most of the time when I see his face, I'm like, yeah, he's stupid looking. And Bella Thorne, in a lot of movies, she's the protagonist. These like short film. This time she's the antagonist, and I'm not familiar with Molly Ackerman, but Fortune Femster is in this movie, and Dual Solange, whatever her name is. She I know her from voicing the character on Great Indoors, the Will Forte's wife. And this movie has other actors you've seen before. Like Eric from Entourage, he's in this movie. So, Connolly, so I thought it was okay. Interesting cast. The premise is like her life is crap. Car gets repossessed, she's gonna get kicked out of her apartment, her business goes under, it goes up in flames. And this Solange, her best friend, who is, in this movie, she is a lesbian cop. And I'm like, okay, lesbian cop, that's cool, interesting. But she's like her best friend, and she's there for her all the time, and she's trying to, that sort of thing. So it's like, okay, so let's try to help her out. So the best way to help her out is to show her there's a underground thing where, when you're in this underground thing, it's a fighting league of women, and it's supposed to be therapeutic, supposed to help out. But of course, Bella Thorne's character is, no, it should be about fighting, who are the best fighters, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Dual Sloan, my bad. And this illegal fight club is run by Fortune Femster. Her brother is a doctor, Kevin Connolly. And this woman, Molly Ackerman, her life is going to crap. And this isn't about money because they're not really making money. And she's a horrible fighter. She doesn't know what to do. So she finds out that Alec Baldwin can train her, because Alec Baldwin's supposedly a former boxing trainer. So I thought it was interesting enough. Throughout the movie, you find out that she has some emotional connection because her mother, who passed away years ago, started this, and it's now more about pride than anything else for her to become a better fighter. I didn't like the whole her father, who's a WWE wrestler, Kevin Nash, who's not a really good actor, is supposedly like gay in the movie and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting element. You already got the lesbian aspect of her friend. But yeah, so overall, it was really not the greatest film or cheesy film, but it's one of those movies that it's not so great, but it's so good that you want to watch it because it's interesting enough that she does everything possible to get her life back on track, and she fights in a girl fighting ring. It's like interesting, and Alec Baldwin's character is not annoying. Fortune Femster is really funny. Dulce Sloan is really sells her character. Kevin Conley's a good actor, so Bella Thorne really sells her antagonist character. So overall, it wasn't a bad movie. It was just kind of cheesy, and there's some just stupid things going on. So, but the best movie I'm watched will obviously be the movie that had Liam Neeson in it. And I really thought that Jiu-Jitsu was a pretty good Nicolas Cage movie, even though he's not the lead guy. Elaine Mosi and Frank Grillo was in the movie. And The Man Standing Next to the President was an interesting enough movie. And Party Hard, Die Young, and Monstrum were okay, pretty horror film overall. It wasn't like they're the greatest horror film. They're pretty good. And Chick Fight, if you want to watch a dumb, in my opinion, like a pretty stupid premise like movie, but I enjoyed it based on the acting and some of the elements. Yeah, that's pretty good. So it wasn't a bad week of movies. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations, number 76. For On the Radar Today blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.